Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and Apple unexpectedly released iOS 13.1.2 today. This is available to all iOS 13 supported devices as well as iPadOS supported devices. This one came in at 78.1 megabytes on my iPhone 11 Pro Max, and all of the other devices that are similar came in around 75 or even as little as 50 megabytes. Now let's take a look at the build number. The build number is 17A860, and this particular build, similar to the last build with iOS 13.1.1, is actually just a bug fix build. So that means Apple is rapidly pushing out new fixes, which could be a very good sign. Now, before we get into what specifically is fixed or what's new, there are no new modem updates. So if you were having connectivity issues on your older phones, anything from your 10R to maybe a 6S Plus that we have here, don't expect any changes with the modems or cellular connectivity or Wi-Fi or anything like that. Now, the first bug fix has to do with the progress bar for actual iCloud backup. So if you go into settings and then you go to your iCloud account and you scroll down to where it says iCloud backup, if you're using iCloud backup and you hit backup now, sometimes that backup progress bar would never complete. So it's fixed now. It will let you know it's completed, and it actually will finish without having to reboot the phone or anything like that. Now, another issue that is a small bug, but I actually experienced myself, has to do with the flashlight. So you'd go to turn on the flashlight and sometimes it just wouldn't respond. This fixes that issue. So if you were having problems with that, it should be resolved. The next one's fairly major for people that may have been having this bug. And again, all of these bugs cover all of iOS 13, but that has to do with the camera. And if you went into the camera, it may not work or open. In fact, I've had it where I've had to close the app, just go out, close the app like this, and then I could use the camera again. So I'm glad they've fixed this. It definitely was an issue for some, and they've resolved that bug as well. Now, the next one has to do with the display. And if your display colors were off, maybe you saw a little bit of yellow in your display, many people have actually reported on Twitter that the new iPhone 11 Pro and 11 Pro Max, they may have seen it a little bit different. And so this should fix a bug that could result in a loss of display calibration data. So maybe your display was calibrated properly, but it wasn't using that information to make the display the way it should actually look. So your display should look a lot better if you were having those issues. Now, if you're someone that's using shortcuts and you had issues with shortcuts on HomePod not actually activating, this should now resolve that. So maybe you wanted to use shortcuts with your account across that just by talking to your HomePod. It will now work properly. So that's fixed. And then finally, the one that actually I experienced on and off with this particular phone with my Tesla app, which is the key for my car, is Bluetooth disconnecting from certain vehicles. So Bluetooth should now work properly. If you're having issues with that, it should be resolved. And so those are the 6 bug fixes that they've talked about. There are no security fixes that I've found anywhere, at least online, that Apple's talked about. This is just a bug fix for everyone that has these devices. Now, there are 2 new pieces of news that are really interesting, at least for some. Apple News Plus is now available in Australia and the UK. So if you've been looking forward to that, they're now available for all users in those countries. Also, as you can see here, there's a new app called Font Diner, and we were not seeing anything in fonts with the new settings with iOS 13, but now we can. So if you install Font Diner, agree to the app, you can have all of these fonts and you can use them across different apps. You cannot change your system font. So after you agree and install those, if we go back, you'll go to General, then you go down to Fonts. You'll see I have a bunch of fonts now. So I can change this, go to Black Widow, and you'll see there's a copyright on there and everything. It says black. You can use these fonts across different apps. So maybe you're let's go into Mail, for example. Then if we compose a new message, you'll see we can go to our fonts here. We've got some more options. We'll hit A. And then we've got default font, but all of those fonts should now be here. So if you want to use custom fonts, you can do that. So this is really nice. It should integrate nicely into all of the different applications that you have. But again, you cannot use these across the OS itself. So your font for the word calendar, that's not going to change. So I don't think we're going to have access to that. So other than that, that's all that's in this, but I wanted to talk about performance. All of the same changes apply to the iPad as well. There's nothing different across any of those, but I wanted to talk about battery life. Since battery life was supposed to be improved with 13.1.1, we should see an improvement now after the past couple of days. So if I go into battery and we go to the last 10 days, this is when I installed the update, and you'll see I had 6 hours and 9 minutes of screen on time with about 25 to 30% battery life left. So this is improved greatly. And then I've been changing some of my settings, and I'll do a separate video for battery soon, but I've been changing some of my settings to actually limit what they can do in the background and things to really improve battery. But if we take a look at today, you'll see there's a screen on time of 1 hour and 56 minutes, and I have 83% battery life left. So that means about 8 hours of screen on time at the end of the day, with quite a bit of screen off time as well, a couple hours. So it should be pretty good. Now, as far as speed overall, speed so far after using it for the past hour or so seems good. Even on the older devices, such as the 6S Plus, you'll see you can rotate. If you're not seeing this rotation, it is only available on Plus models of iPhone. So even the XS Max does not have this. But if you scroll back and forth, it's nice and fast. We go into settings, it's scrolling nicely. We can 3D press, and those features work. We can press in on from the left there if you were concerned about that being removed. It's all there under iOS 13, 13.1.2 as well. Now, I did do a Geekbench on these for those of you that are interested, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. I'll open it up on my 11 Pro Max. Now, I am using Geekbench 5, and then I'll show you on the other iPhones in just a moment. Now, on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, we have a single core of 1,330 and a multi-core score of 3,456. This is pretty close to what we had before. If we take a look at the history, I don't expect any changes here, but you'll see we're very, very close. Within one for the single core, one less, and about 44 or 47 less for the multi-core. This is because I ran this just after installing this update. So I would expect improvements over the next few days. Now let's take a look at it on all of these three devices here and see how they are so you can compare them. So for Geekbench, you'll see I have three devices here. On the left, we have the iPhone 6S Plus. In the middle, we have the iPhone XR, and then on the right we have the iPhone 11 Pro Max. And so this gives you a general idea. Don't take these to heart, but these are a general idea of how your phone should be performing, from oldest to newest and one in between. While this update was a bit unexpected, I was expecting iOS 13.2 betas with maybe some new emoji and things like that. We haven't seen that yet, but we'll probably see that maybe within a day or two, or maybe later this week. It's hard to say for sure. Apple's kind of pushing these out rapidly, so who knows what they're going to do at this point. That's it for iOS 13.1.2. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Are you liking that Apple is pushing out all of these small updates to fix security issues quickly, or would you rather have more betas? Let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, I'll link it in the description as I always do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and hit that notification bell if you'd like to see more of these videos as soon as they're released. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.